Welcome to the Beza Podcast. I'm your host, Jasmine, and today I'm very excited to have with me someone in our community that's doing great things. But he's also the owner of Soul de Cuba Café, Jesús Puerto. Bienvenido, welcome to our podcast.
Gracias. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you for having
Thank you for opening the doors to this beautiful space located here in Seminole Heights. Can you tell us a little bit on how the idea of Soul de Cuba Café came to life? Where are you coming from? A little bit about yourself in general.
Sure. You know, I was born in a small neighborhood very close by here, Ybor City. And I guess I started getting inspired to be in the kitchen and to be in love with Cuban food because my abuela used to take me with her to a little deli in Ybor City called Demi's Market. And so at 5 years old, I was walking there with her, holding hands, and watched the attendant scoop out the black beans and the rice, and then we'd go home, and then I'd have to sit at the kitchen table while she was chopping up the onions and peppers and making the sofrito. And I was at the table, sorting the beans and taking the rocks out, because back then the beans didn't come pre-washed.
Cuban, I can relate. That's how we used to do it the old way. The way. Rice, the beans, everything. Nosotros we call it escogerlo. So we'd have to pick out all the dirt from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's how your passion started.
That's where it started. I come from a small family there in Ybor City. My great-grandparents came over in the 1890s from Cuba, from Guanabacoa, Cuba. And my great-grandfather baked Cuban bread for 3 decades there in Ybor City. And my great-grandmother was a house worker, a housemaid. And she had a reputation that people still to this day remember, that she prepared meals for everyone, on the street, the neighbors, anyone, and extended family could always come over and know that they'd find a warm meal of comida criollo, right?
Oh, that is so awesome. What a great story. Mm-hmm. And would she prepare the meals? Was it here, or you're talking about back in Cuba?
That was in Ybor City.
Oh,
she was born in Cuba, but this was in Ybor City. Yeah. Okay. So, when the city, Ybor City is a small community where I think the major industry that first was established there was cigars. And so there were many cigar factories, first starting in the early 1870s. And by the early 1900s, it's my understanding that there were maybe even several hundred cigar factories of all shapes and sizes. So a lot of people had migrated, not just from Cuba, but also from Sicily and other parts of Italy, from Spain, and even Germany. And that's where you get the ingredients of the Cuban sandwich. We all know that the original Cuban sandwich actually wasn't made in Cuba. It was made in Ybor City for the cigar factory workers. I understand the history to be that the owners of the cigar factories would, provide employee meals, and the Cuban sandwich was one of those. And that's why you have the salami that represented the Sicilian, the Italians, and the Cuban roast pork that represented the Cuban contribution. And then, of course, the Germans who worked in the factories. So that's why you got the Swiss cheese and the pickles and the mustard.
Wow. Yeah. So that is so interesting because, there's so much controversy about the Cuban sandwich. I tell my husband, there's no Cuban sandwiches in Cuba.
That's right.
So obviously that came from here, from the States. So I didn't know the whole history. So I love that you're sharing that with all of us, so that way we're informed on how the Cuban sandwich came to life, right? Mm-hmm. So that is so cool. It's so cool that you grew up in such a cultural environment, and that your family, even being here for a while, raised you to be, influenced with the Cuban culture, which is very rare. Yeah, most people don't keep the traditions nowadays.
Ybor City was a melting pot, and you still have many Italian recipes, Cuban recipes that we'll find in Ybor City, Spanish recipes. that might not even exist or anymore in those countries for that part, right? And then there's also even the fusion, like the really famous Cuban street food is the devil crab, you know, and that's a crab croquette, right? And it was invented by a gentleman in I think maybe in the 1920s, you know, he'd go blue crabbing for what we call the blue crabs in Tampa Bay and prepare a sauce that was seemed to be like a sauce, a cangrejo sauce, a enchilado sauce, and with peppers and onions, and then he'd get the breading for the croquette from probably a bakery like La Segunda Central, you know, to get the breadcrumbs from there and make these and go around Ybor City, you know, yelling out, double crab, you know.
Oh,
and there are people that still, a lot of descendants of that community still here in the Tampa area. You know, in West Tampa, a lot of us are still around.
That is so awesome to hear because I feel like I didn't know much about the culture of our food. And it's so cool to see that it's brought back here to the state with our flavors, you know.
Yeah.
So would you say that a lot of the dishes that you make here are passed down recipes?
Yeah, I think some of the recipes might go back 150 years or more, you know, like the ropa vieja, the picadillo, of course, the Cuban roast pork, the lechon, and the way we make mojo is, you know, it's inspired from my abuela, from my dad. Everybody had their way. You know, mi tía tenía otro lado, another way of making her black beans. And for example, so here we make the black beans in the way that my abuela made them, my grandmother made them. And it's a vegetarian dish, and she liked to use a little extra oregano. So that's how we make it. So it's, you know, there's always this a competitive sort of friendly competitive commentary around, you know, who makes the best beans and the picadillo. But one thing our customers just really love here is that they get a sense of their own grandmothers. Their memories awaken when they come to dine at Soul de Cuba Café. They love it.
Yeah, because it's authentic. It's made with soul. It's not just made to be made, right? And there's such a big difference to cook something just fast and with no love than making something with love and passion. Yeah, no, and it comes true because I've been here to eat already, and I can attest that it's amazing food. So I invite all of you to come and check out Jesús' restaurant because it's pretty authentic Cuban food and it's delicious. So tell me a little bit more because I'm a little puzzled about all the pictures, all the history on these walls, including this amazing mural that we have in the back. What inspired you to bring all this together?
Well, the inspiration comes, I think, just all natural, right? Like it was, I grew up, I was born in the neighborhood. I was baptized in the neighborhood at OLPH. And as me and my cousins, we began to lose our elders, we realized how valuable the history that we had. And, you know, we grew up going to a place called La Sociedad La Unión Martí Maceo. And my great-grandfather and great-grandparents' community were early members of that society. They were all part of the El Círculo Cubano before that, in the mid-1890s. That's the Cuban club. Right? It's located right next to HCC Ybor campus. But when the Jim Crow laws went into effect in 1900, that was the segregation laws. So there was a rule called the one-drop rule. So if you had it's a federal law that if you had one drop of African blood in your body, you were considered to be black. Wow. And that was so the members of who were black and of the Círculo Cubano, they could no longer attend. They couldn't be members there anymore. So they started their own society, La Unión, La Sociedad de Martí Maceo. And that's what this mural is. My grandmother left me this picture, and it's from 1944. And you can see that they're in the patio. And it was a place where eventually the African American and Afro-Cuban and the Black Cuban came together. And this year we're celebrating 125 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not in the same location because in 1965, through eminent domain, during the urban renewal process, the city of Tampa took the building, and then we purchased a different building, or our ancestors did. And so that's located at 1226 East 7th Avenue, just under the archways when you're entering into Ybor City. So we're still there. And Soul de Cuba is celebrating not just the history, not just the recipes that our ancestors brought over from Cuba. They brought with them also their sense of hospitality, as I described to you about how it was so important for mi bisabuela, my great-grandmother, to feed family, extended family, and even people, on her same street there just off of 10th Avenue in Ybor City. But they also brought their spiritual traditions, their ideas about sustainability. So that's what all of that comes together, was how they sustain themselves. And so to pass on to our future generations so that the information doesn't get lost and this history doesn't get washed over. This is what we're here for. So we are a restaurant, but we're also see ourselves as providing a community service by preserving and protecting and showcasing this history.
It's also a cultural space, I would say, more than a restaurant also. Because I love that you are doing that, and some people in the community are doing that, because that's how we want our Cuban kids that are grown in the States to also know part of the story. So that is, thank you for doing that, because that's great.
No, it's so many young Cubans now and pan-Hispanic citizens in the Tampa Bay area. We all know Tampa is just bustling right now. And so it's really important that these gold nuggets that be protected and we work to help serve the future generations, so they know how important Tampa was as a melting pot. And the Society de Martí Maceo was named in honor of Jose Martí and Antonio Maceo, the heroes of Cuba's independence. These folks, my ancestors in their community, helped Cuba to achieve its independence from Spain by the activities and the donation support that they sent to Cuba in 1895. It's well documented, even taught in school, some of that in Cuba, right?
Well, I grew up in Cuba, but I tell my husband, I don't think it's as well documented, at least when I grew up, because you knew part of it, but not all of it. And then you migrate to the state and you kind of get lost and forget about it. So keeping that culture alive, it's great. And so is there any activities that you guys do in the club that, incentive people to learn and cultivate all this cultural?
We have cultural events. Sure. We do cultural events. We work with different artists, musicians. This October and November, we'll be planning several cultural events in honor of our 125th anniversary. But in general, to maintain and sustain the operations of the building and the society, we rent it out, and it's available for rent, for receptions. We host a lot of quinceañeras there, and wedding receptions and showers. So anyone can find information on the website, martimaceocc.org.
And you're a big part of that society?
Yeah, we are. Many of the descendants of that society were still in the Tampa Bay area. And we have a small membership there, but I've been a lifetime member. Yeah.
That's so great. Thank you so much for keeping that alive, because it's so important for our newest generations to keep that going.
It certainly hasn't been easy. It's always a struggle, just like anything. It's life. We are.
I know it's a lot of work, because and on top of that you have to run this business. So I can only imagine.
Yeah.
How do you see Soul de Café as a part of the continuing legacy of keeping the Cuban history alive?
For the Tampa area, the Ybor City Cuban history. Well, one of the things we like to do that I've been doing is not just the offering of the foods and coming out with seeing where we can find older recipes even that are not common and we're always looking for those things. But I also do cultural exchanges, and I've taken people to American citizens from different parts of the country to Cuba since 2012 to be able to connect and engage and see how we can learn from each other to find pathways to love and understanding.
That's so interesting. And how do you advertise that? How do people know? Like, if I want to invite a friend, how do we know about it?
We do one a year.
Okay.
And we'd like to do more. And we do that during the last week of January. And the end of January is the International Havana Jazz Festival. So that takes place, I think it's going on almost 60 years, that festival.
Wow.
So it's a great time to go and get the cultural music experience in Cuba. People from all around the world, musicians come from everywhere. But at the same time, we meet with historians, we meet with scholars, musicians, artists, and they provide a perspective to the participants in the cultural exchange to what it's like to be in Cuba. And it's, people have a little bit of free time to be able to go and engage and make relationships of their own.
Do you arrange all of that?
I arrange it in partnership with a eco tour company called Altruvistas. And Altruvistas has been doing that work in Cuba for over 30 years. And they have partnerships on the ground with Amis Tours. It's a local eco tour organization there, and we are able to, obviously this is all within the guidelines of the Office of Foreign Assets Control. So Americans are permitted to go on these cultural exchanges.
Well, now you guys know, if you're interested and you've never been to Cuba, how can they find all this information? Is there a website, a Facebook group or something that they can get more information?
Sure. Visit our foundation. It's cubanacoa.org, cubanakoa.org.
Okay, we'll put the link anyways on the video so you guys can follow and click on it.
Awesome.
That is so cool though. I haven't been to any jazz event like that in Cuba, but I would love to.
Well, I hope you can join us.
Yeah. So then January, right?
Every January. Yeah, that's the third week of January. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome to know. What do you hope people feel when they walk into the doors here?
Well, I can tell you what people are telling me that they feel, and it's a comforting, welcoming vibration. They love the aromas, and they immediately seem to be transported into memories, especially for the descendants of Ybor City and West Tampa. The Tampa folks that come in, they sense a reconnection to times past in a colorful, vibrant atmosphere where our hospitality is very warm and inviting. And so that's what we want people to feel. And obviously, we want them to enjoy the food, and they do. Just take a look at the comments on our Google page, and you'll see that people are really, really, really connecting with these flavors.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love the food here. Can you share with us a little bit about the main dishes that you serve, or maybe your favorites?
Well, of course, the celebratory dish is the Lechonaso, right? That's the Cuban roast pork that we slow roast after being marinated overnight with Moho. Moho, for those that don't know, is a concoction, a marinade of garlic, onion, citrus, and vinegar. Everyone has their recipe.
Yeah.
We love ours. It's all natural. And then we slow roast that, and we serve that alongside congri or arroz moro. Mm-hmm. It all depends on
what part of the Cuba you're from,
right?
Yes.
And which is a mixture of the black beans and rice cooked together. Do you know the history of where arroz moro came from?
No.
Okay,
I
arroz
don't.
moro.
Tell me.
No. So what I was taught is arroz moro, right? It originally pronounced moros y cristianos, and so it's the black bean representing the Moors, and the arroz, the white rice, representing the Christians, and that coming together. Cuba, like Martí Maceo, right? One was Jose Martí was the white hero of Cuban independence. Antonio Maceo was the black Cuban hero of Cuban independence. And how forward-thinking were these ancestors in that community that they brought them together 125 years ago here in the southern United States to say, you as a Cuban people, we're not talking. You were you're not gonna pull us apart.
Yeah.
You know, we're working. We know this isn't easy, but we see and we can see the love in each other, regardless of our race and skin color.
Yeah, that's how it should be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how, where are you located here in Tampa? Because I think you're in a perfect spot. And how can people find you maybe online?
Yeah, we're at 6428 North Florida Avenue in the heart of the Seminole Heights neighborhood. And our website is soldecuba.com. And it's S-O-U-L.
People can make reservations there, right?
People can make reservations, and they can also order takeout right there as well. And you know what? We have a promo code right now for 15% off. And then you just type in TPALUV15 to get the 15% discount when you order online.
So don't hesitate and come and order right now because they have delicious food. And one of the things that I really loved from our experience when we came here to eat was the guava and cheese and banana. That was like my favorite. Oh my God, what a great dessert.
Thank you. That was one of those desserts that, you know, growing up, as a chubby kid, my abuela would always take me to the bakery, and we'd get the pastelito, you know, the guayaba queso, and but I always imagined that being, you know, put together, the guava and cheese. So that's what we did 20 years ago when I created that dessert, and then, you know, we put it in an empanada shell and deep fried it.
It's delicious. So you need to order whenever you come here. Don't miss that.
Yeah.
For sure. So you host a lot of events here live.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. We've got this Saturday, in fact, coming up, we have an open mic where we'll work with a musician, Mauricio, who is coming to lead the open mic. It's a curated event. It's like light Cuban jazz, Afro-Cuban boleros, son music, and we have, you know, now in the Tampa area, we've got great world-class musicians, not just Cuban, but all sorts. So all are invited, but you just send us an email at SeminoleHeights@soldecuba.com to be able to, so we can put you in touch with Mauricio, and then get on the list and let us know that you're planning to come and join us. So that starts this Saturday around 8 p.m.
This Saturday, don't miss it, because Mauricio is a great singer, a great musician. I love his music, yeah. So recently we started working together. You started working with Beza Media, my team. How has that experience been for you?
I am blown away. All right, your professionalism, your creativity, and your accuracy is on point. We've struggled with social media. You know, it's not my expertise. You know, I know rice and beans.
It's hard to keep a balance between everything you do, right?
Yeah.
There's so much that you do on the daily basis. So, and social media is a job on top of a job, basically. So we're very blessed that we found each other. So thank you for the
excellent
opportunity.
Videos, really.
Thank you so much. And it's almost time to go, but we have many more podcasts that we can do together, because there's so much more to share with people. Especially about the Cuban history, because we need to keep that alive for sure for the future generations. I want to thank you so much for your time, for opening your doors to this amazing space. Guys, if you're in Tampa, come and visit Jesús and support small businesses. It means a lot. Our community and the efforts to keep our culture alive is always welcome, and it's so nice that people like Jesús are doing that. I have one last question for you. Yeah. If you were to advise someone starting in a restaurant business, what would you advise them? Somebody that's struggling, what would your advice be? Well,
make sure you have a good team. You know, no man, no woman, no person is an island, you know, so make sure you have a good team, keep good people around you, plan well. This is my fifth restaurant. The original Soul de Cuba Café was in New Haven, Connecticut, and it operated there for 20 years. So we've got a little bit of experience.
So you have experience.
We've got a little bit of experience, and we're so happy to be back here sharing Soul de Cuba with Tampa finally. So communication is key. You know, keep open communications. Use all the tech, the modern tools that we can. Things are so much easier today than they were when I first opened in 2005. So in terms of technology, but we were one of the earliest also. We had one of the first restaurant websites in the world.
Wow.
SoulDeCuba.com is one of the oldest URLs for West restaurant. And we always tried to adapt, but one of the things that we didn't adapt well was social media. And I tell you, I'm glad again to meet and connect with Beza Media on this. Really.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we can get way more podcasts because there's so much. Like I said, yes. Yeah. Thank you, and make sure you follow Jesus on his social media. We're gonna post that in the video. He has Instagram, have Facebook. Make sure that you come and support his business.
And we have mojitos too.
I know, how can we forget about mojitos? Mojitos is the most important part. They're amazing and so fresh. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you all.
Make sure you share this video. Bye-bye.